Hello and welcome. It's Vintage Super League time once again. I'm Randy Bueller, joined by Rich Shea. How are things, Rich?
Hey, things are great. Things are great. As good as you can get for not going above 25 degrees here in Boston. Um,
You do have the chipper attitude of a 3-1 player about you.
well, I do, and I'm really looking forward to opening this package here. So I'm in a good
Yeah,
mood.
let's talk about that. So we're gonna do this thing tonight. I know that we've talked a lot about Puka Trade, which is our big title sponsor this season, and Puka Trade remains awesome. By the way, I think I am the first person on Puka Trade to be sent a Wasteland expedition. I haven't
Wow.
gotten it yet, but I was promised one on the website on Saturday. So the day of the OGW pre-release, I'm like, I would like a Wasteland expedition, put up Strip Mine expedition. The Wasteland is already promised to be on its way to me. So
So
Puka
you got what
Trade,
you were looking for pretty quickly. That's great.
yeah. No, I'm up. I haven't hit double-digit expeditions yet, but like I've gone beyond the point where I just have the one-ofs for my Canadian Highlander decks. I'm starting to think about, can I actually get 4 Scalding Tarns? Like, do I have it? I keep wandering down to the basement and finding cards from the 90s that are actually worth money nowadays. They've just been sitting in my basement. So,
It
like,
is
send
crazy how that
off the
works.
Lion's Eye Diamonds. How did this card get to be worth so much?
I don't understand either. It seems like every day something that was in my junk rare pile is well, it probably shouldn't be in my junk rare pile anymore.
Precisely. So, Puka Trade, obviously, we're very happy with them, but we haven't talked a lot about Wormwood Gaming, and we want to fix that this week. You may have seen the ad go by. Wormwood Gaming makes super sweet, sort of high-end deck boxes and dice towers and all kinds of things. And Rich, you're actually the guy that introduced them to the league. So, well, I mean, tell us a little bit about who Wormwood Gaming is, and I
Yeah,
guess Eric's a friend of yours, Eric
Yeah,
Dupuy, the guy.
so I've known Eric Dupuy, known on the Mana Drain as ELD, for a very long time. Very long time. In fact, he's been an integral part of the vintage community in New England. Back about 6 years ago, when I used to live here, he ran vintage tournaments, and he ran some really good tournaments. And his work of organizing vintage tournaments, bringing people together, was a huge part in the flourishing vintage scene here. Now, he's been continuing that at a place called Scholars. He's had weekly vintage, and he's been organizing it there, gosh, about a decade at least. I think a little
Nice.
more. And so he's not a newcomer to vintage at all. And recently he's gotten heavily involved with Wormwood Gaming, which are a group of people that make high quality gaming accessories. I got a chance to see a number of their products at Origins last year, and it was really impressive stuff. They use wood to make things. They don't dye or stain anything. They just use good quality woods, and the effect is really nice.
Yeah, I've had one of these boxes for a little while now, and I was super happy to have them come on and help out with VSL.
Hmm.
And what Eric has done is he sent each of us a box to kind of show off what the company's capable of. So yeah, this is just this pure sponsored product placement, but I think it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be awesome. So
Yeah.
you mentioned you have the box. We haven't opened them yet. We thought we'd actually open
No.
them up on
No. I've
camera
been
and
showing
see.
restraint. And at the
You'll,
at the start of this, at the sponsorship, I had no idea that they're going to be sending us these samples. So, guys,
Yeah, you have shown admirable restraint. Oh, you're also frozen. Okay, you're back. Great. Um,
it is cold here. I wasn't kidding. Sometimes it's just fire state,
fair.
just covered in ice.
So you want to go first?
So,
You want to open yours? You want to see what
yeah,
these things look
sure.
like?
All
All
right.
right.
So,
Now, if you guys actually do like what you see, wormwoodgaming.com is the website, and if you put in code Vintage Super League, you get 10%. Or sorry, you get free shipping, and then the league actually gets a small cut of what you wind up paying for the deck box. So
all right. So, getting this
yeah,
open
yeah.
here.
There's a
Oh,
box inside the box too, from what I've been
the
told.
box inside. It's full boxception. Okay. So, away this knife, and make sure that it shows here. Yes, there is in fact a bonus box inside. just in case one box turns out not to be enough. Alright, so we have this box here. It's got the logo on it. There.
Nice.
And inside the second box, of course, I expect a third box.
Hopefully it's a deck box, though, rather than...
Yeah,
exactly.
Hopefully it's a deck box. And it is a Bolivian Rosewood deck box. Wow.
Nice.
Wow, that's beautiful. Actually has the vintage Super League theme or emblem. Can you see that? Engraved on the front.
Not focusing super well. I know how I can see one. I'm going to open my own.
All right, go for it. Wow. This is really nice.
Mine too.
All right, so it's got a leather top here. Got my name engraved. I don't know if you can see that on the top part there. It's really nice. So, yeah, these aren't made with any dyes or stains. This is just the natural wood color.
Oh, sweet.
And this is really nice.
God, that logo looks spectacular. We got to get there. Okay, I think my camera picks it up a little better.
Oh, your camera does show it a little better.
Eric said, send me the logo. I'm like, okay, I'll send the logo. She's like, really? You could just engrave that on the side of all these boxes? So, yeah, see, Vintage Super League Season 4, little lizard guy and everything. I think this is the Cadillacs wood, is the wood that I've got, which has just awesome texture, right? All the little knots and stuff. Snap. Oh, so happy.
I'm smelling mine. It actually smells like, well, wood.
Very nice. So everybody in the league had the opportunity to pick out the wood that they wanted, and yeah, Eric basically sent us, I guess, it's a late Christmas present, right?
Yeah.
So
thank you, Eric, and thank you, Wormwood.
Super happy with Wormwood Gaming right now. And yeah, the other guys will show off some of theirs. I know that there's a bunch of different wood choices that went into this, so we'll at least see some more of those later on. All right. Yeah, I don't think there's a higher quality way to carry around a deck box. I mean, especially like as a vintage player, I feel like I don't want some like $5 piece of plastic around my vintage deck. That it doesn't feel quite right.
That's
I'm sure
true.
you can have the.
My vintage deck is worth like 4 times what my car is worth, and I've been carrying around in a $4 deck box. So
right. How about this feels a little.
That's a very good point.
So yeah, hopefully you like what you see. You'll see some more later on in the show. We're going to kind of make that a theme of tonight's show to let you guys see what Wormwood has. It's wormwoodgaming.com. If you do like what you see, the code Vintage Super League will get you free shipping and get us a cut. This chat has suggested I carry my vintage deck in Ziploc bags. That does not sound like a good. So.
I can't recommend that. That's a step up from putting a rubber band around my heads.
Is it? I guess.
Well,
anyway, yeah.
They're both pretty bad.
Anyway, there you go. Wormwood Gaming. Now, I mentioned earlier that you're sitting on 3-1. I want to pull up the standings because as we get toward the top of the hour, toward the first match this week, things are super tight, right? Nobody managed to go 4-0, and nobody went 0-4 either. So essentially, all 10 of us are within 2 games of each other. 3-1, 2-2, or 1-3.
So it looks like Webb, Efro, and I are at 3-1.
And Webb and Efro play each other this week, too. That's got to be the feature match.
So that has to be. So I'm going to be playing Kai. And
okay.
Kai is a brass man, as well as Smenin and Chris. But it's all
Steve
very, very close.
Well, Steve only has 2 game wins, but he managed to get them in the same week, I guess.
Put them where they count. Yes, well, you put them where they count.
God, I have to. I play Steve this week. I'm like, I am so not looking forward to playing Efro next week. Like, A, Eric is almost certainly the best player in the league. And B, his matchup is insanely terrible for me. He's like, yeah, I think Randy's going to either play Storm or Belcher, so I'll make sure my deck's really good against Belcher. We haven't seen Belcher in like 10 league weeks or something.
But it's one of your favorites, though, right? That and
I've
Merfolk
only
seem to
run
be
it
your favorite
once.
decks.
I don't know. I mean, I can't deny it's a pet deck of mine, but I'm just disappointed that I got read quite so transparently.
You also ran it for the exhibition match against Kai, where...
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, so I really need to beat Steve this week. I'm like, okay, if I can beat Steve, then even if I lose to Eric, I sort of limp into the final trimester. I mean, middle of the pack, 3-3. But really limping, 2-4 would be the limp in and give Steve a win. I don't know. I'm nervous about.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I'm content with the matchup. I mean, he's got, main deck Ancient Grudge, a couple of Dak Fadens. It's a little worse than the Delver matchup typically is. He's even got a Mindbreak Trap main deck. But yes, it is the one good matchup of my 3 this week, I think. So yeah, I need to win this one, or I don't know. It's like season 1 where I had the 2-1 in the first trimester and the 2-1 in the third trimester, but I bookended them around an 0-3 with like an Burning Oath deck.
Yeah.
Did not work out.
No. So I'm also very excited to see how this is going to unfold. Going to be facing Kai, and that's going to be, you can never say that you have a good matchup against Kai, because he's Kai.
Sure. That is fair. We should look at the schedule, though. So this is not the order we're going to play these matches in, but this is the 5 matches. First up is actually going to be Tom Martell against Chris PIKULA in a pretty sort of classic and interesting match for where Vintage is at right now. Dark Petition Storm versus Mentor.
Yeah, that should be a really fun one. I think that the Dark Petition Storm deck has a slight edge against Mentor in general, but it's a matchup that, it's so draw dependent, it could certainly go either way.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. That Storm has the advantage. I think that's one of the reasons Mentor is, I don't know, I felt like it was starting to fade a little bit, but this is very much, in my mind, this is kind of where Vintage is at right now. We've got 3 Workshop decks. We've got 3 Storm decks. We've got a couple of Mentor decks. And then a couple of pet decks, like Mid-Indians, Delver, and My Culture.
I think that's exactly where Vintage is. You have a number of Workshop decks, a number of Storm decks, and the sort of very traditional approach is that Storm is good against Mentor, which is good against Workshops, which is good against Storm. But the margins are so close on all of them.
Yeah. So, Chris PIKULA versus Tom Martell. If we get a chance, we should put the deck lists up and look at what we're looking forward to at the top of the hour. Not a ton of surprises in these deck lists. Chris's Dark Petition Storm, I think this is very close to what Eric's been running. Yeah, I know you're a huge fan of Defense Grid in this deck. You really feel like that's what has pushed this archetype over the edge?
Yeah.
Just even as much as the Dark Petition itself.
I think so. I think grids are the answer. I think grids are how this deck is good against all those blue control decks. It's like a duress that doesn't need to be cast in the same turn as anything else, and it's a duress that gets around Mental Misstep, gets around Fluster Storm, and it just sits there, making the game very difficult for the opponent.
Yeah, you see the couple of Hurkyl's recalls as in the main, 2 in the main. They can generate Storm at a pinch, but really that is, I don't know, a concession almost to how terrible the Workshop matchup can be for the Dark Petition Storm deck. I know we're going to see that one later on. Our feature match, Ifro versus Ochoa, is actually Storm versus Workshop. So,
and I'm going to be playing that in round 2.
Yep.
So you'll get.
I should have just run back Dredge, shouldn't I? That's what I should have done. I should have just run back Dredge. I didn't think people were going to keep playing Workshop decks. It's like, okay, a bunch of Workshop decks in the first trimester. Yeah, it's pretty good, but I put Dredge out there. I should have 3-0'd, but somehow managed to lose to Luis.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe I should have 2-1 because Kai was a favorite against me, but why did I not just run back Dredge, Riche? Should have just run
I don't
back
know.
Dredge.
I don't know. You had already broken the curse. And once you had broken the curse, you could have kept going with it.
Right? Is there going to be this much Workshops in the third trimester? Or did I miss my opportunity here?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Storm. I think if you expect a lot of Storm, and I was counting on at least it's a great call. Yeah. Also, seeing Webb just run through the field with it, that didn't actually hurt it either.
That's fair. Yeah, the Storm deck is very good. I mean, it's It's certainly I don't know, it's probably a more swingy metagame for Vintage right now than maybe it has been historically, with Storm being so good, but Workshops being so good against Storm.
Yeah, I actually love the Vintage metagame right now. I think it's in a really healthy place where a lot of decks are viable, and I think that the margins are close enough where I bet if you want to make a Storm deck that beats Workshop, you can do it. It'll just cost you in other matchups. And if you want to make a Mentor deck beat Storm, I think you can do that. It'll just cost you in some other matchups. But that's how close they are.
Yeah, that's fair. We should look at Tom's deck list if we can get a chance to put that up. Pretty classic Mentor build here. What do you think about it?
Well, we have a distinct and unfortunate lack of Sylvan libraries.
A pet card of yours that has, I know it's done quite well for you.
It's a good card. It's certainly one of the two best green 2-mana enchantments there is. So you have, Dak Faden's actually a card in this matchup. 3 Mentor, so that's going to give him some ability to have a clock, and it's good to apply pressure, but no Ujitai. The 4 Swords to Plowshares are not going to do all that much. There was a time when a lot of the Storm decks would run Tinker for Blightsteel Colossus, and they've really moved away from that and moved to having Empty the Warrens in the sideboard instead.
What do you think of the land destruction package Tom has got here? Main deck Crucible of Worlds, along with all 4 Wastelands and the Strip Mine.
I think that's really interesting. I think that that comes at a pretty high price, though. He only has 1 Gush.
Right.
So usually, oftentimes, Storm will present enough questions where the Mentor player will have to throw his or her hand and really go down on cards to be able to answer that initial barrage. And without having Gush, I think Tom's deck is going to be less able to gas itself up and charge forward after he's been able to sort of blunt the assault. So I don't know if I like the Wastelands because they mean not having those Gushes.
Well, there's one way to find out. Let's head down to the match and see what happens when Tom Martell's Mentor Control deck goes up against